line from a broken sky, traced out by the city lights, my world from a mile high.
Ever since I was a child, I've always been completely consumed with the idea of fear and anxiety and stress, and it is taken over my life in a way that I was allowing the devil to run a area of my life and not letting God take over it completely. When I was in about second grade, got really sick when I was at my grandma's house. We were out in the countryside and we didn't have anywhere really to go doctor-wise. My parents were on vacation, and during that time I had a high fever, I was vomiting, I was sleeping all the time, and the devil decided to take on this weakness that I had and really start to control my life, control my dreams, the way that I slept, the way that I interacted with people. And he began to place this fear inside of me and dig these metaphoric talons inside me and began to put a film over my eyes so that I could no longer see the potential that God had for me or the plan that he wanted for me. All I could see was fear and pain and anxiety and just being overwhelmed at the idea of even just small things. And it continued on through middle school, and it went off and on. I'd be able to manage it. I would try to explain to people what it was. I would tell them that I would feel small but big and crinkled but smooth, and I would never actually be able to describe to them what I was feeling, the deep fear inside of me. And I just began to label it as the feeling. I would get overwhelmed and I would just say, oh, my feeling is coming on again. And I would go through phases where it would be really bad and or not so much, especially through middle school. And then freshman year came along, and during that time it was awful. I would have panic attacks over everything. The idea of going to school in the morning and getting out of bed would just send chills down my spine and bring on this feeling of fear and anxiety and just stress over just the littlest things of what normal people would see as just an everyday lifestyle. To me was just complete terror. Thankfully, God had a plan to untangle me from this entanglement that the devil had me in, that he was going to begin to remove the film from my eyes and give me a new perspective on life. I didn't know that when it was going to happen or how. I just hoped and prayed that someday this fear and anxiety would leave me, and it did. A few months ago when I was in East Africa living there, I had an amazing experience in a town called Shihihi. It's in Uganda outside of Rukungiri, and when we were there, the second I stood out of the car, I put my foot out on the dirt ground and I instantly began to panic. I began to sweat, I felt claustrophobic, the air everywhere was just tight and clammy. I began to hyperventilate and breathe really heavy, and I needed to just get out. I tried to adapt myself and to deal with the anxiety that was coming on and the fear of the place, but it wouldn't go away. Eventually, after going outside and trying to get fresh air but only seeing the pit toilets, I decided that I could just calm down, and I got myself under control again. Well, that night, we had the option of either staying for the guest deliverance speaker or go back to the hotel. I personally chose to go back to the hotel because I really wanted to go and get out. I didn't like it there. I already felt scared and fearful at the idea of staying. So I tried to persuade my mom to let me go back to the hotel. She just had this strong feeling that we were supposed to stay. And so she asked me, Alyssa, why do you want to leave? You know, I was like, I'm having my feeling. I'm afraid here. I don't like it. She said, but I don't think so. You need to stay here with us tonight. And I am extremely glad that she had me stay, because the second that the minister stood on the stage and started speaking, I just began to sob. I was streaming down puddles of tears onto the dirt ground, because on the inside I could feel this push and this pull of this spiritual warfare going on inside of me, where God was fighting for me to help me see the potential that I had in life, whereas the devil was trying to hold on and dig his talons deeper into me to blind me from the potential that God had for me. And so I just was feeling torn back and forth, and eventually my family brought me up to the stage, practically dragged me onto the stage, and the speaker there looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You will not fear anymore. You will be free tonight." And he said, "I can't make the choice for you though. You have to be the one to decide to be free. You have to be the one to let God run your life instead of what's taking over control of you right now." And I instantly was just like, yes, 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 please. I want to be free. I don't like feeling like I'm scared all the time, like I'm anxious, that I can't ever accomplish anything. Thoughts ran through my mind and memories as I began to ask this man, yes, yes, please pray for me, help me, deliver me from what this is taking over control of me. And he did, and he prayed for me. He laid his hands on me and said, "Alyssa, you are now free. You have decided to let the God of the universe control your life instead of the devil." And I just collapsed. And I just began to feel warm and happy and content on the inside. I could almost feel as if the film across my eyes was being removed, and I could now see what God had planned for me now. The perspective, the new and the beautiful success that I could have. Instead of just being fearful and anxious about everything, I had new life. See, this is where you come in. God has a plan and a purpose for you, just like he does for me and for everyone else in the world. Like I shared in my last video, he has a shape that he wants to mold you into. Well, he also wants to free you and give you freedom from all these bondages that Satan has put his talons into. He wants to be able to take over your whole life, not just parts of your life, not when you're at school or at home or at church where you play it off and have different lives. He wants to have all of you. Romans 8:31, what shall we say about such wonderful things as these? If God is for us, who can ever be against us? Because he has a plan for you, he's going to work with you and encourage you as you go along. It continues on to say in verse 38, I'm convinced that nothing can ever separate us from God's love, neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither our fears for today or our worries about tomorrow. Not even the powers of hell can separate us from God's love. It also even says in Philippians 4:6 and 7, do not be anxious about anything, but by prayer and petition present your requests to God. He will help you, he will encourage you, and he will be able to open your eyes to a new perspective and give you new life so that you are free within Christ.
Look down from a broken sky, traced out by the city lights. My world from a mile high, best seat in the house tonight. Touchdown in the cold black top.